Brother and lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. West Ham have rejected Arsenal's initial offer for Declan Rice, and it looks like, in my opinion, he's gonna go to Manchester City. Man City are preparing a move that's gonna blow Arsenal out of the water, according to The Guardian. Jacob Steinberger said that West Ham feel Manchester City's move, Manchester City's bid will blow Arsenal proportionately out of the water, and it is more like the Mikhailo Modric deal. It's more like he's gonna go to Man City. Look, we're gonna be diving into much of the top stories from the big journalist Fabrizio Romano. I was really waiting on him to get this one in, although I saw this story almost like 2 hours ago, but I really wanted him to, to give me his final say. And he just said that, we have advanced on personal terms, but he doesn't think Arsenal do have the resources that Manchester City will put on the table for Declan Rice. Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. What are our next transfer targets? I think that's the big one now, because if you don't get Declan Rice, who has never my major priority, of course, I think, look, Barella is in the market now. If we could go for Barella, I think it just makes a lot of sense. But we're going to be diving into much of the stories. What are your reactions to Arsenal's failing to meet the 100 million that was initially agreed upon on Monday? On Monday, we had discussions with West Ham, and we agreed to meet the valuation, which was 100 million. Now, what I understand, Arsenal have gone in with 80 million plus 10 million euros in add-ons, 10 million pounds in add-ons, and West Ham are really fuming that Arsenal have just been wasting time over a whole week. We've had a whole week of discussions, and we have shown intention of going up to 100 million. But when we went in with the bid, and we thought the bid was gonna be at least 100 million, West Ham have been very surprised that Arsenal are not even anywhere close to the agreed price. Okay, so let's dive into the stories as they have been coming in. The story was broken by David Ornstein, writing for The Athletic, of course, big journalist, and saying Arsenal have made an opening offer to sign Declan Rice from West Ham. Tim Lewis and Karen Brady held talks with PL Ejimio through Edu and Richard Garlick, who are leading the process to sign Rice to Arsenal. Manchester City have now actively explored their own approach for the 24-year-old, and the moment that story came in, a lot of information has flown. A lot of information has actually come onto the scene. So let's see the first article from The Athletic. Ornstein says Arsenal have made their opening offer to sign West Ham captain Declan Rice. The first move follows talks between Arsenal executive Tim Lewis and West Ham counterpart Karen Brady at the Premier League. In Hampshire on Wednesday, although Sporting Director Edu and Director of Football Operations Richard Garlick are leading the process to sign Declan Rice. Premier League champions Manchester City are also actively exploring an official offer of their run for the 24-year-old. The Athletic reported in May that Rice was Arsenal's main man this summer, with the club prioritizing midfield reinforcements. West Ham's chairman David Sullivan also said after the club's Europa Conference League triumph that he expected Rice to have played his last game for the club, adding the captain wanted to go. So that is the first story as reported and broken by David Ornstein, and it was pretty much positive until the point when he said that Manchester City are there. So David Ornstein didn't report that we are way below the valuation, but he said the bid has been sent in and Manchester City are also exploring the deal. So after that, shortly after that, actually, TalkSport, through Alex Crook, head of football, chief football correspondent at TalkSport, said West Ham United have rejected an opening offer from AFC for Declan Rice. Arsenal indicated they are willing to meet the asking price of 100 million, but their initial bid is believed to be much lower than that, sources told TalkSport. And again, on his official Twitter account, Alex Cook is saying that West Ham have rejected an offering bid from Arsenal for Declan Rice. Not usual, but he says it is not usual to lowball or to go low with fast offers, and Gunners have indicated they are willing to go to the 100 million mark. As I alluded on Drive on TalkSport on Monday, Manchester City are lacking in the background, right? So that is TalkSport, and that is Alex Cook, right? So in the recent minutes, this is what ESPN have put out. That sources have told ESPN that Arsenal's bid for Declan Rice was an initial 80 million plus a further 10 million in add-ons. Arsenal expected to return with an improved offer for the midfielder. Right, that is also as reported by ESPN's James Ole. I think James Ole is quite a very, very fascinating journalist, and I think I really trust him. Right. So Fabrizio, in the last few seconds, I said Arsenal significantly advanced on Declan Rice's personal terms in the last few days. That's why Arsenal will bid again to find a solution with West Ham. 80 million was never gonna be enough to convince West Ham, as they hope for something more than 100 million pounds to sell. That is as written by Fabrizio Romano. That is the latest tweet from Fabrizio Romano, right? So this is the confusing part for me. It's not actually confusing because we've done this a lot of time, right? We've really done it a lot of time. We have had talks with West Ham and Rice since January. We clearly know the price. We clearly know what is acceptable and not acceptable in this deal. And Arsenal definitely have done more groundwork than any team on this deal. Literally, that means that you know what the price is. You know what the structure is gonna be. You know what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. If you are willing to meet the price, the price tag, then you invest that amount of time. But if you're not willing to invest that amount of money, you don't invest the time. We have literally wasted West Ham's time, and we've literally wasted Declan Rice's time. This is a deal that's never gonna happen. Listen. So the latest stories about Manchester City are that they're looking at a midfield revamp this season, and it only comes natural. Bernardo Silva is on the verge of joining PSG. Ike Gundogan might join Arsenal or Barcelona, highly likely Barca or Saudi Arabia or Arsenal, depending on what's going to happen. And then, look, Riyad Mahrez is also going to go to Saudi Arabia as well. So they only have around 3 midfielders: Calvin Phillips, Rodri, and Kevin De Bruyne left in that midfield. So they will look for reinforcements. They're going to look for a new midfield. And Declan Rice is on top of the priority. There is no way it turns out Pep Guardiola. There's no way it turns out a team that has just won a treble. That is number one. There is no way it turns out a manager that is the most successful in Premier League football in terms of winning the Premier League, apart from Sir Alexander Chairman Ferguson, right? This is very, very ideal and very identical to the days when we lost players to Manchester United, Cristiano Ronaldo, the likes of Wayne Rooney. When a team is enjoying that kind of success, it's very hard to to win a transfer race of a player, especially an English player who wants to make history, an English player who wants to win the Premier League. Winning the Premier League at Manchester City is pretty much guaranteed and nailed on. In your first 3 campaigns, you might win 2 Premier League titles, and every player who has been born in England wants to do that. And I think with Manchester City now breaking the deadlock of that first UCL, they're going to win as many as they can. I look at all these young sides and I really pity them, especially Madrid, who have made it a habit to win the UCL. I think Madrid might not win the UCL for like the next 7-8 years, because they have to give this young team, time to develop into, the giants that we know Madrid are. So for me, I think Arsenal need to move on from this one. 80 million is not a bad deal for us to start with. I think eventually Arsenal will go in with a second bid, which will be closer to 100 million, or which will actually hit 100 million. There are no doubts about that. Like Alex said, it's always gonna be there. It's always gonna be that optimism that you can go low with the first bid and then you can go high with the second. But West Ham now know they're dealing with one an unserious side in Arsenal, and two, there is a bigger catch. There is really a bigger catch. Manchester City do have the revenue now after winning almost everything. They have around 300 million courtesy of winning each and everything last campaign. So 300 million. You don't expect them to go. We cannot have 100 million of that to sign Rice when they've spent almost billions without making proper money. So now that they make proper money, they're definitely going to spend the cash on the top talents. And look, I think I don't think Rice is an Arsenal fan. He is a Chelsea fan. And he decided to join Arsenal because of the turmoil and chaos and unpredictability that Chelsea would actually swoop in for him, right? So he's not an Arsenal fan. He doesn't have anything, glued to Arsenal. We don't owe him anything. He doesn't owe us anything. It just makes sense for me. It really, really does make sense if he goes to Manchester City now. So in the coming days or in the next few days, I expect Manchester City to make that bid together with Arsenal. And I expect Manchester City's bid to be bigger than Arsenal. Because Jacob Steinberger said that their bid will blow Arsenal's bid out of the water. Like proportionately, it will blow us out of the water. That means in terms of what we are offering to West Ham, City will beat us. In terms of salary, obviously they have more financial power to give players above 300,000 than we are doing. So they will give him more money. They'll give more money to West Ham, and they will definitely give him a better project, because City are the best project right now in the world. Champions League winners, FA Cup winners. So look, I think it's all about a phone call from Guardiola to go, look, if you want to come to win, you can join us. You can join the likes of Calvin Phillips, who are your England teammates. You can join, John Stones, Kyle Walker, Phil Foden. All these players are your England teammates, and probably it will just make it easier for you. And I don't see how he turns that down. I really, really don't see. Our open chance was that one bid, that one shot, right? He's locked on the move. We've talked about everything this week. He was expecting his deal to go through. He was expecting a 100 million deal plus 4 million euros in add-ons, or 10 million euros in add-ons. And he was waiting for that big screen on Sky Sports that Arsenal have launched a 110 million euro deal or £1 million deal, and it's done. The moment we've given Manchester City that gap, the moment we've given Manchester City that pocket of space, it's out. It's literally out. It's something that happened in January with Mikhailo Modric. The moment you give a club that is willing to spend more money than you and is willing to pay more wages than you, look, these players are mercenaries. It's the same reason as to why they go to China, same reason as to why they go to Saudi Arabia, same reason as to why they go to Qatar. A player's never gonna be offered double what you're offering, and he turns it down. It's never gonna happen. They will give him 400,000 a week, and they will sign him. So for me, at the moment, this one seems pretty much a done deal. But on Manchester City's side, unless he's not their real priority. But if they make him a priority, they could sign him in the next 24 hours. And of course, we know Manchester City, they always love to go into that pre-season with their transfer business pretty much done. If they get Cancelo out of the door for around 35 million, they could sign Declan Rice for around 100 million, and maybe Josko Gvardiol as well for around 70. If they could spend 170 million on that squad, they will let go of a few players. That means that they will have made the money back. It's nice transfer business. and we've just given them our transfer priority. After doing a lot of work, Manchester City have been on the side, coping and, understanding the situation, and now they know what they need to do, right? So for me, the little chance, our window to sign Rice is gone. Okay, so we need to start looking at alternatives. Newcastle are looking at Nicolo Barella. That is the player I want, but I would be happy if Arsenal as well, sign maybe Ryan Gravenberch from Bayern. I think Ryan Gravenberch and Goretzka, one of them will leave. But Gravenberch has been saying that he doesn't want to have another season where he doesn't play football. So for me, Gravenberch is on the market. I think that one is a good shout. Moses Caicedo is in the market. That's a good shout as well. Amrabat is a good shout, definitely. Amrabat is a good shout. If we don't get Declan Rice, I didn't want Amrabat because I think there will be a bidding for Sofian Amrabat. But I think Bayern will be ready to swoop in. I think eventually Newcastle and all these other clubs will be coming in for Sofian Amrabat as well. But for me, my priority is Nicolo Barella. If we can get Nicolo Barella and Kai Havertz in that midfield, that will be around 110 or 120 million pounds. That actually makes more sense for me. And then you could sign your everyday Moises Caicedo, right? So the bid has been rejected. All sources indicate Arsenal will bid again, but all sources also indicate that Manchester City are out of the background and are actively exploring a deal for the player. Interesting to see how things have turned in the last few seconds, just after Arsenal failing. I think what City were waiting for, do Arsenal pay that crazy fee, right? Because we are going to pay it. But can they pay it, right? It's the same thing what happened with the title. Can Arsenal do the unthinkable and go in the last 10 games and win 9 or 8 out of them? And of course, deep down Man City knew it's never going to happen. Arsenal will never win those 8 games out of 10. It's the same thing here. They've waited patiently. Will Arsenal do the unthinkable and pay up 100 million? Arsenal have just said, no, we cannot. And Man City have said, yes, we can. So we are expecting that bid from Manchester City. And for me, the moment it comes in, it's a done deal to City. So we'll be talking about this live. I'll be coming live to talk about the deal and maybe alternatives potentially. I'll draw up a list of alternatives. Potentially, right? Potential alternatives. I think Arteta is going to be disappointed. Really disappointed with this one because he worked on Mikhail Modric for 1 month. He's worked on the Declan Rice deal since January. And I don't know what they will tell him, Edu and Richard Garlick and whoever is working on this deal. I don't know what they will tell Mikel, why they didn't go with the agreed price on Monday and decided to, substantially go for something that is very, very, low below that. I don't know. But look, we wait for what's going to happen. If Man City bid, it's game over. And I think this attracts all the other clubs, okay? I think everyone is going to look at Arsenal now as a weak competitor and contender for Rice. I think if it was Manchester United, who have the history of signing players for 100 million, this would have been a done deal by now. Because, look, you look at how they signed Paul Pogba. Easy. You look at how they signed Anthony. Maybe not easy for Anthony because they wanted a price cut, but eventually they paid off the money, right? And look at how they decide Casemiro. Put the money on the table, deal are great, we move on. So let's wait and see what's going to happen. I'll be live. We'll be talking about that later on.